Good evening, everyone. This meeting is now called to order. This is the Health, Environmental, Aging, and Disabilities Committee for the January 28th, 2026 year. I'm the chair, Councilmember Kobe Owens from the 1st District, and at this time I will call the roll for the members of the committee first. Vice Chair, Councilwoman Krisha Wilholler.
Here.
Councilwoman Cabrera has an excused absence. Councilman Nathan Fields.
Present.
And Councilman Alex Hackett has an excused absence. And Council President Congo. And myself, Councilman Owens, here. Also joining us, we have our council colleague at large, Letitia Bracey.
Here. Thanks.
As a friendly reminder, only members of this committee should be making motions and seconding. And with that, we will jump right into our agenda. I am going to move item number 2 to the first agenda item. And that is a resolution urging the city of Wilmington to restore the Rodney Reservoir Community Garden. And that is being presented by Councilwoman Wilholler. Is there anyone here to speak to it?
Thank you very much, Chair Owens. This resolution is a request that the city fully restore the Rodney Reservoir and build all 62 beds that are called for in the approved garden design in time for the gardening season this spring. And just to give a little background, the Rodney Reservoir Community Garden was built by volunteers on land that was owned by the Department of Public Works. Starting in around 2010, community members organized with the help of Cornerstone West CDC and West End Neighborhood House to get permission from the city of Wilmington to have a community garden on land at the Rodney Reservoir that was at that time vacant. Over the next few years, hundreds of people from the neighborhood volunteered to build 61 garden beds, which involved not only building the beds, but also bringing up fresh garden soil by hand in buckets to fill the beds. Then for over 10 years, gardeners and a few community groups paid $25, I think eventually it was $35 a year to get their own plot where they grew vegetables, herbs, and flowers. All 61 beds were in use when the city decided to demolish the Rodney Reservoir and build the new, amazing Rodney Reservoir Park. The reason for this resolution is that so far the city has only built back 20 of the 61 beds that were there before. I've been a big advocate for community gardening for a long time, and I really believe the need to expand access to community gardening in Wilmington. And so that's what this resolution is about. It asks the city to rebuild all the beds and fully restore the Rodney Reservoir Garden so that as many people as possible can have access to community gardening in the city of Wilmington. So that's what the resolution is about.
Thank you for that. I will open it up for any questions from member of the committee. Did you have anyone else here to present?
No.
Okay. I will open it up for any questions from any council members. Seeing none, thank you, Councilwoman Wilholler, for bringing this forward. I think that community gardening is a extremely important thing about building community, but also having fresh options for food there as well too for the community to benefit from as well too. So please add me as a co-sponsor on this. And with that, I will take this to public comment. Is there anyone here to give public comment? Come on up to the podium, introduce yourself. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jamila Davey. I live in the 5th District, and thank you so much, Councilmember Wilhour, for bringing forward this resolution, and thank you, for all the comments that you just made. Thank you also, Council Chairman Owens, for having us here tonight, and for all the council members for hearing us on this ask. So I really want to echo the comments of Councilmember Wilhour that this garden is a proven concept that's been around for, a long time. And I want to also point out that, I'm with the group Green for the Greater Good, and we are a group that came together in 2022 when the city decided to demolish the water infrastructure at the Rodney Reservoir. And we started organizing to make sure that what the destiny of that piece of land would make it so that it continued to be public, safe, and green. Those were the three pillars that we were organizing around for a long time. And over time, we started to also organize around the idea of what the site could actually be. And we started doing community design. And there was overwhelming support from the community around this idea that our West Side residents and City of Wilmington residents need more access to nature. And then there was also this idea that the community garden was a huge success and something to build upon. So, gardeners and residents really worked, once we had this opportunity that they were going to do something to the Rodney Reservoir, that we can make it the best that it could be to serve like the health and wellness of our community. As Councilmember Willauer mentioned, the old garden had 61 beds, and Hinge Collective, the landscape architects hired by the city and the Rodney Reservoir Working Group, planned to restore the garden, and their design included 62 beds so that they could meet the need of as many gardeners as possible participating in the gardening up there. And we have ideas about how to accommodate even more. Along the way, we have been trying to be in a ready pattern to collaborate with the city. Green for the Greater Good collaborates closely with West Side Grows, Cornerstone West CDC, who's historically managed this garden, and we have sought ways to collaborate with the city on operations, to make sure we can get the site going again. And in the course of that, we've been collecting interest from folks because we've been doing outreach, to involve people in community design around the Rodney Reservoir Park and involving them in programming at the site and also in participating in the garden. So we have over 125 people. And we actually have offered also to build the garden. So if it's a resource issue, the community stands ready to pull together the resources and the volunteers to build the garden, just like we did residents did back in the 2010s, and we will also are offering and are asking for collaboration from the city in terms of operations of the garden, that we stand ready to help with that, and that we hope that there will be, that we can build on the citizen stewardship aspect of community gardening. And you've got a sheet there with some of the community gardening benefits, that community gardeners are assets to parks. They put people build relationships, they engage in stewardship, they get to know one another, and in addition to bringing the fresh food and experience of nature, we create that community cohesion, and it's something that our strategic plans support. So thank you for the leeway.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on the resolution about the Rodney Reservoir? Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is April Collins. I live on the 1500 block of West 8th Street, so I directly face the new park. I am a member of Green for the Greater Good. I was on the working group to help the city select an architect to design the park. And I'm a community health nurse. I've been a community health nurse for almost 15 years. So I wanted to talk tonight about the benefits that Jamila touched on, about the benefits of a community garden to the individual, the family, the community, and the city at large. So community gardens, studies have shown that they are beneficial for health, both physical and mental. It helps lower blood pressure. It's a great form of exercise, a great source of vitamin D. And as a family, it's a great way to get healthy food. I live in a food desert, so having the ability to walk across the street and get fresh produce from my own garden would be huge. And as Jamila said, the social benefits to the community, it's a great way to get to know your neighbors and strengthen your community. So I am so pleased with how the park turned out, and I would love to continue working with the city to finish the work. We've come so far, but we're not done yet, and I'd love to continue to work with the city to get this finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Monica Jones. I'm a resident of the 5th District, live on the 1200 block of 7th Street. First, I want to say good evening and to thank the committee members for extending this time for public comment with regard to Councilmember Wilhauer's proposition for the expansion of the Rodney Reservoir Gardens. Sorry, I'm going to be sniffing a lot. First of all, I want to say I won't be using my 3 minutes. I won't be saying anything new or earth-shattering that we probably won't hear from others who will comment this evening. And I'm sure my comments will echo many of what my neighbors have to say, both here and those who are attending on Zoom. I strongly support the resolution put forward to build out the rest of the garden beds, whether those efforts come through the city or through community volunteers. I think I speak for many in the neighborhood when I say that the new park has already exceeded all hopes and expectations. There's been so much work involved in getting to this point, from the initial protest to the charrettes to the groundbreaking and all the trucks, to the community planning of the little greenery, to the big party we had back in October celebrating the opening. And I will shout out to the tireless efforts of Jamila Davy, educating, organizing, and giving the rest of us someone to rally around. The park has been a community effort from the beginning. It is beautiful. It is a bona fide gem that the city should be proud of. The park and the gardens offer tangible, hands-on opportunities for the neighbors to meet, to work together, and to celebrate. There is space for studying nature, recreation, walking dogs, playing children, and even performing artists. Truly, it's something wonderful, and it holds to the objectives in the Wilmington 2028 Comprehensive Plan to support healthy, strong, and cohesive communities. I'm here to voice my support in completing the task of expanding the garden beds to the full complement of beds we were promised. The sooner those beds are down, the sooner we can mobilize would-be urban gardeners to dig in. So once again, I would like to thank you for your time and for opening up this comment period for us to voice our support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We may have some tissues underneath the little desk there. Would anyone else like to give public comment in regards to Rodney Reservoir? Sorry. You have 3 minutes.
My name's Nick Iacobucci, and I'm a new resident to Wilmington. And one of my first trips around the city was to find a community garden. And it was around June of last year, and I saw on the Google map that Rodney Reservoir had a community garden. Unfortunately, when I drove by there was a huge construction site. So I'm very excited to see that the garden is coming back and also maximizing the benefit to the community by having the full 61 or 62 or as many as we can get beds put in, because it really makes a difference in a community. I think property values have also been shown to go up when there's a nice community garden. And being a senior, I have some experience in gardening and community gardening and urban farming. So I would love to share that with a community of gardeners that are maybe some getting just started, but at whatever level, to have that kind of resource in the community, I just don't think there's anything that could be more valuable. Thank you for allowing me to comment, and I appreciate anything the council can do to bring about that maximization of garden spaces. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone else in person or online would like to give public comment about the Rodney Reservoir?
Councilman, we do have some online public comment. The first one is Kylie Kimmel.
Kylie Kimmel?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for taking my comment. I live on West 9th Street across from the reservoir, and we've been here since about 2018. And that community garden was a big part of the motivation for us being drawn to this neighborhood and drawn to this street in particular. And I know prior to the park going in that all of the beds up there there was a wait list, is my understanding. So I have no doubt that we would quickly, in the first season, be able to fill 60 beds, if not more. There is a need. I think also that we had built relationships with the nearby schools, and it had created educational opportunities up in that garden for some of our local elementary students. I think April and Jamila both did a really great job about talking about the health benefits. You know, that space up there has turned out to be so much better than I think any of us could have imagined. And I was activated early on at the thought of losing just the garden piece of that space up there. And it's turned into such a beautiful spot in our community. I feel strongly that like some of the other people had voiced, that this is an opportunity to build healthy neighborhoods, to teach our children to have access to food, to build relationships with our neighbors. It's such a valuable asset for our community. And I hope that it continues to get the support from the council and the city that it has, as I'm sure we're all striving to have the most vibrant and resilient city that we can have. And I think that this is really maximizing that garden for this neighborhood and the people in their surrounding neighborhoods that also utilized it, because it wasn't just gardeners from the few streets surrounding the reservoir. It's such a necessity. So thank you for taking my comment, and thank you for your continued support.
Thank you so much. Next, I have Ifil? Elfil?
He's muted.
Hi.
You have 3 minutes.
Hi, Councilman Owens and Willauer. This is Laura Filon. I'm actually in your district, first district now. I'm a former resident of Cool Spring for 25 years. I was a renter. I lived in a place with not much sun. I'm an environmental activist. I like the outdoors, and I'm also a vegetarian, so I like sourced organic, good produce to eat. I helped found with several other people, the original garden back in 2010. And my main comment for you is we need all of the beds. We need even more than that. For all the reasons that everyone else who's already spoken has provided, I see the community garden as a great opportunity for intergenerational skill sharing, people teaching each other, being together, building community, valuing healthy food and flowers and pollinators and the whole, natural wonder, which is why it's a natural fit for an ecological park that we co-created. It helps to build local resilience and food resilience. We've had numerous free food giveaways and fun, festive garden events, spontaneous and otherwise. The will of the people is there, the demand exists, and I see this entire garden as being precedent setting as the first one in a city park. And I hope that with the intergenerational learning garden and all of the beds and all of the people sharing their skills and food, that this can be a way shower, a pollinator, if you will, for future more gardens in more parks and more places all throughout the city. I think I am a member of Green for the Greater Good, just to be on the record. But I think the camaraderie and the community building bears out with the numerous, what we used to call dirt day, when we would do bucket brigades of hauling the compost up and down the hill using the stairway. It was always great fun, and people turned out for it, even people who weren't gardeners. So the benefits are myriad and obvious, and I hope you will fully support the efforts to get all of the beds built as soon as possible so there are fewer garden homeless in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will say it one more time. Any more public comment for the Rodney Reservoir resolution?
We have a James Steiner as well.
James Steiner? I see his hand is up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you to the council and the members in the audience, as well as anyone online. I appreciate your effort in being here today to share some community thoughts from the community. I wanted to express the importance of the garden and express the idea that there should be at a minimum a large number of beds, restoring it to the number that was there prior to construction. Anything additional would certainly benefit the community. I'd also like to specifically mention that the garden at the Rodney Reservoir was supporting Lewis Dual Language Elementary School in connection with Healthy Foods for Healthy Kids to support school curriculum that offered students at Lewis Dual Language nutrition, health science, and learning opportunities. At Green for the Greater Good had an opportunity to sit down with the principal at Lewis Dual Language, Heather Townsend, at the time in 2022. And it was a great vision to see hundreds of students participating in gardening at that reservoir, and they should continue to have that opportunity there that can impact not just the 400 students in 1 year, but in many years to come could be thousands of students with thousands of memories, in addition to the memories being created there with the beautiful park that is there. You know, for example, the sledding that's happening right now is just one small example of what is possible here in Wilmington. And I would like to share this the sentiment of many others on the Zoom that this should be a vision for the city of Wilmington to make the city of Wilmington stand out in its respect to what is offered to the community, the things that the community can do, and what's possible when we're funding gardens that like that's up here at 9th and Clayton. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that. And with that, I don't see anyone else with their hand raised online and no one else here in the public. Again, we do not have to take a vote on this, and this will be on the next city council meeting on February 5th, and I will give last word to Councilwoman Willhauer, but just real quick, I just want to say thank you for all the work that you've been doing on this. You invited me over. I helped plant some plants over there when they were still getting everything set up. But I think a point was talked about a little bit earlier. This isn't just about a community garden, it's about food justice. And that so many of us here in the city of Wilmington are living in food deserts where we are seeing oversaturation of dollar stores that are pushing things that have high sodium in it that they're calling fresh, which is not. This is an actual way to bring fresh food to our neighborhood. So again, I look forward to continuing to work with you, Councilwoman Willhauer, and the rest of our colleagues to make sure that things like this is still benefiting our community. And I'll send it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Councilman Owens. And, you know, I'm looking forward to working with you because this really is talking about the city of Wilmington is doing something new here, which is having community gardens in our parks. And I understand that there's a lot of kind of infrastructure that needs to be built out by the city to make that possible because it's a new model to have community gardening in city parks. So that's really exciting. That the city's working on that the city's doing that. The city is, branching out to have community gardens in our city parks. And I'm looking forward to working with you and other council members to expand this model of community gardening in city parks anywhere in the city where there's parks, there's land, there's people who want to have community gardens, and there's agreement that this is a good use of the land in the city parks, or that part of the city parks. So I want to thank everyone who came out tonight to give public comment. I want to thank everybody who's doing community organizing around the Rodney Reservoir, and for reaching out to me and encouraging me to support you in working on this issue. I'm really hoping that this resolution can get the city to build the additional 40 beds to restore the gardens to the number of beds that was there before. And it's wonderful to hear that the residents are ready and willing to step up and help build the garden beds. I really believe in expanding access to community gardening, and I'm hoping that this effort and other efforts to bring community gardens to city parks is about making sure that everybody in Wilmington who wants to have a garden but doesn't have the space because they don't have a backyard or they don't have the space in their backyard has a place to grow their own garden. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. And this will be voted on by the full council.
February 5th.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Now we will go to our next piece of legislation, which is a
It's over.
which is a resolution appointing members to the homeless subcommittee of this committee, the Health, Environmental, Aging, and Disabilities Standing Committee. And it is being presented by myself and co-sponsored by Council President Congo. First, I just want to say that at the end of last year, we passed a resolution establishing this subcommittee to work with our unhoused population here in the city of Wilmington. This committee is designated to come up with recommendations, including but not limited to recommendations articulating strategies on practical ways that we can help find solutions to move people from their current situations back into safe housing here in the city of Wilmington. And also addressing the needs and services that may come about for those residents. These 9 individuals make up a fine blend of experts, policy analysts, community members, boots on the ground, people who have been doing work for a long time. And working with Council President Congo, I'm happy to finally bring this resolution forward, which will be appointing the following individuals to this subcommittee. And those individuals are Dr. Anna Velez, Anita Brooks, Frank Hawkins, former Deputy Fire Chief James Jobs, Cheyenne Miller, Shamar Parker, Tony Stegna, I'm so sorry if I butchered that, Anna Shields, and Leah Warner. Again, these are the 9 individuals that are being recommended by Council President Congo for appointment. And with that, I will open the floor to any council members. Yes.
So thank you, Councilman Owens, for not only creating this committee, but for all of your work in making this committee happen. I think this is a really excellent example of how City Council can work with community members to build policy solutions to meet the needs of our community. We know that there are people who cannot afford housing. We know that there are people who are living outside. We know there's people who are right now, staying in temporary shelters, but they don't have permanent housing. And, Mayor Carney did put together a subcommittee on homelessness, and that subcommittee did come up with some recommendations. And that's an important first step. But, as you pointed out, there's ongoing needs to develop policy around homelessness and around keeping people from reaching the situation of losing their home and becoming homeless. So this is a really, really important opportunity for council to work with people who've been, working on solutions and hear directly what the needs are and what the policy solutions are. So I want to thank you, and I want to be asked to be added as a co-sponsor. And I also want to thank in advance all the people who signed up to serve on this committee. We're really looking forward to working with you.
Thank you so much for that. And also thank you for everyone who applied there was a vast number of people throughout the city of Wilmington who was willing to step up and help city council try to figure this crisis out. Also, I do want to point out with this resolution, we are amending my original resolution to remove a disqualifier for individuals of any public employment. We are changing that because we do have individuals who applied from the state level. That was intended for city employees. So there's no city employees on this. It's state employees, though. And with that, I will open it up to public comment if I don't see anything from other council members. Is there anyone online? I know some of the members of this new subcommittee, they are online. But is there anyone who would like to give public comment tonight? Seeing none. This resolution does not have to be voted on. It will be on the February 5th, 2026 regularly scheduled Wilmington City Council meeting. Next, we will go to our next item, which is a presentation from the Office of Marijuana Commissioner on Joshua I'm so sorry. Sanderin. Did I mess that up? You can come introduce yourself. I'm so sorry. Sanderin. That's right. All right. Sorry about that. You can sit down. Yeah.
I am a very loud person, but I would imagine just push this or.
It's already on for you. Excellent. You may have to wiggle it a little to bring it closer, but.
There we go. All right.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then you can get started. When you're ready to go to the next slide, just say next slide.
Absolutely. Josh Sanderin, Marijuana Commissioner, State of Delaware. Thank you, Chairman and Vice Chair. I really appreciate the opportunity to come in and speak about our program, also the things we're seeing as we see a rapidly changing federal landscape, which impacts our communities throughout the state. So what I did here was just prepared a brief presentation about our division. We are housed within the Department of Homeland Safety and Homeland Security, along with our sister division, Division of Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement, which does our enforcement of our regulations. If you want to go ahead and flick to the next slide. So when the General Assembly passed legalization, they created a slew of new licenses. As you can see here, they created a total of 125 new licenses split among three major categories: cultivation, manufacturing, and retail. That is also split up further into micro licenses for smaller operators, as well as social equity licenses. We had a total of 47 license spots for social equity applicants who were verified through the state that they qualified for it. Since I've come in office in June, I believe it was June 6th of last year, out of those 125, we have issued 84 conditional licenses. And so what a conditional license says is you are able to go forward, you've met the basic criteria for having a license, you can go forward, secure your location, and start doing the things you need to open your operations, including meet with your local officials and ensure any property you selected meets zoning requirements. We've done 84 of those. I've had 10 abandonments or denials of the 125. I have another 27 that are under indetermination right now. They have been denied and are going through the appeals process. And then I have another 4 that have gone active since that time. Only 1 here in Newcastle County, none in the city of Wilmington at this time. Next slide. This is a current list of our adult use dispensaries. You'll see here we have 13. We have 2 here in Wilmington, one being the former First State Compassion, which is now called Thrive, and Field Supply, which is over on Kirkwood. That's actually a veteran-owned local company here in Delaware. We have one location, Fresh Delaware, in Milford, which is still medical only. Otherwise, they have all converted. That was a separate bill the legislature passed to allow the conversion of medical over into adult use. But right now, this is where we are. I have another one I'm hoping to be open here next month, if not March, in Newcastle, but not in the city of Wilmington. You can go to the next slide. This is just restating what I said earlier. OMC is in charge of writing the regulations, doing the licenses, weighing in on violations, but we are not the one who identifies the violations or does the enforcements. That's the Division of Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement, obviously the same folks that do the alcohol for the state. Next slide. So when asked to come in, I was also asked about what have been colloquially called smoke shops. Those are distinguishable from our dispensaries in that they are not licensed by the state. Their product is not produced in the state. They are not taxed, and they are under no controls by the state or local governments except for their basic business licenses. We have seen a proliferation of these places throughout the state. They are pretty much everywhere, and they are not subject to the normal zoning requirements that places like the city of Wilmington have put into effect, saying dispensaries can only be in certain areas. You'll see here, we've called it the developing illicit marketplace, and that is because it is, depending on who you ask, will give you a different legal opinion on what the status of these are. I will tell you that this whole situation came about because of the 2018 Farm Bill, where they said, okay, we're going to make hemp legal now. Now, let's be honest, hemp, marijuana, it's a legal fiction. It's all one plant called the cannabis sativa L. It's all one plant. What we really should be talking about, what we're trying to move towards is talking about what are the component parts that cause the intoxication, right? CBD is not intoxicant. THC is. THCA is not in one form, but it is in another form. So the 2018 Farm Bill, we weren't even thinking about that stuff on the federal level back then. So it created this loophole that everybody's jumped into and says, well, my flower, we call the plant flower when it's a smokable form, is THCA, and that's non-psychoactive. True. However, THCA is, once it's combusted, that A is a simple acid that falls off of the compound, and now it's psychoactive. The most majority of people, their interaction with cannabis has been to smoke it. So automatically it converts. A little discussed thing is that in the state of Delaware, actually, hemp is defined based upon total THC, which is an equation which takes delta 9, the traditional psychoactive component, and your THCA multiplied by 0.8, by basically 87% is the conversion ratio, and that gives you your new number. So that's a way of saying here in Delaware, we don't really follow the traditional federal approach. We say, no, it's about total THC. Regardless, what we're finding is the folks that are running around selling THCA products and these other products are actually still selling marijuana that's 10, 12% delta 9. So they're illegal. They're not hemp by any arguable measure. What they're doing is saying, oh, but I have this certificate of analysis from this lab that exists outside of the borders of the state of Delaware, if it exists at all. We have seen situations where you go and you look at the lab, it doesn't even exist. And because it says, oh, no, there's no delta 9 in here, it makes it very difficult to prosecute because there's no intent to distribute a drug. Because at that point, they're relying theoretically in good faith on those documents. So what they're being called now is intoxicating hemp. There are efforts in the General Assembly now to try to get this under control because we understand the impact, or they understand the impact that it's having on communities. There are some of these places that are opened up across the street from schools. There is no age gating going on in them. And again, the products are untested, so we don't even know what's in them or tracked. There is just a list of different things on this slide showing, the kind of things we're looking at. If you go to the next slide. DATE is predominantly in charge of handling these situations. They do the investigations. What they will do is they will go in and do an undercover buy. They will take the product out and they will test it in what's called a light lab. It's like a portable lab that will test cannabinoid profiles, and it will tell you if it's THCA, delta 8, delta 9, delta 10. And if they find that you're over the limits, they will actually send you a cease and desist letter. They will come back out, do another buy. Yes, sir.
Just real quick, can you explain what DATE is too?
Sorry, the Division of Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement. They're our sister division. They're also housed within DSHS, and they enforce all of the regulations. They're the ones who do all the background screening and all that fun stuff. They're a law enforcement agency. And so if the company continues to sell, DATE will go back and in some cases confiscate a product that tests negatively or tests positive for being marijuana as opposed to hemp. Again, legal fiction, but there are numbers there. The problem is that the way the laws are currently written, there isn't anything we can do outside of that. A cease and desist letter, and that's it. And alcohol, if you were caught selling alcohol without a license, there are fines and there are criminal penalties for those businesses, but in this world, there are none. And so that is something, again, the only law you're really breaking is you're selling a drug, but you ostensibly are relying upon an unvalidated C of A, which says it's not marijuana, it's hemp. Next. This just kind of talks about the process. Again, DATE will do investigations sua sponte. They will also, if you call, you can report places, and DATE will go out and do undercover buys. And then OMC also takes complaints and sends them on to DATE as well. And this just explains a little bit about the process. And again, you can see there's not really much there that has teeth in it at this point. Next slide. And here's some of the bigger concerns, right? So not only is this untested product that you're seeing in your communities, and you're not seeing age gating, but you're also seeing things that if one of my licensees did this, they would be out of my program. You cannot have products which look like animals. You cannot have these kind of colors. You cannot have products that are otherwise a commercial product. So nerds, for instance, you can't have those. You might have a product that kind of looks like it, but it's in like a 10 usually, but you couldn't advertise as nerds or Doritos or all the things we see that are really designed to come after, to appeal to younger adults at best, children at worst. Next. And this is just our basic contact information. Again, this is a rapidly evolving industry. I've been in it now for about a dozen years. And it's always interesting and always provides challenges, but it is something that meets federal, state, and local kind of run into each other a lot. And I really appreciate the opportunity to come in and speak with you, answer any questions you have, talk here. I also would extend the invitation to anybody on the city council, the committee, or otherwise that is interested in seeing one of these businesses operating live. I can set up a tour. We can go in, show you behind the scenes, and show you pretty much how secure these businesses are, what they go through, and on my side of things. I'm not going to take you into the illicit places, but other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
So before I go to other council members, you talked about the Farm Bill that passed in 2018 that created this market for smoke shops, which we've seen oversaturation, especially in minority communities throughout Wilmington. But it's from my understanding that at the most recent government shutdown, when they reopened the government, that they have provisions in there to address that loophole, but then also the THC drinks as well too. The limits are being changed for that. Can you speak to those two things real quick?
Yeah. So on the federal level, what they did was there was a lot of pressure to close this loophole, and they ostensibly did. I say that because I've been in this industry now for over a dozen years, and anytime you think you closed one, there's another one. That being said, they were pretty on point. You can't have any. THCA is no longer, there's going to be a list of what we consider, as I was saying initially, let's talk about what's in it, not if it's hemp or marijuana, right? Let's talk about what's in it. And so the FDA is putting out a list of any sort of what we call intoxicating cannabinoids. And if you have those, then it's banned, and you can only have them in very small amounts. Packaging limits, so people can't just aggregate into a package. And so what happened, one of the things that happened initially was they would say, oh, well, it has THC in it, Delta-9, but this bar of chocolate weighs 100 grams. I've only got 100 milligrams in there, so it meets the requirements. They got rid of that in this latest bill too. That being said, there are significant efforts to either delay. They gave it a year window, so it's not even in effect right now. So it goes into effect November of this year. But there are significant efforts to either extend that window and to give us more time, or to find ways to roll back some of these limitations. It's a process, as you understand. Legislative process is messy, so I don't know where it'll end up. That's why I think on the state level, it's important that and on the local level, that we still focus on this, because at the end of the day, it's also going to be on us. The feds can say, "Hey, this is now illegal." People are still going to be doing it, and are the feds going to have enough resources to tackle this industry right now? I doubt it. So it's going to fall on us, and if our laws aren't in line, then we don't even have anything we can do. And the drinks are all bound up in that, because they're using the same products. It's the same intoxicant that they're using for the drinks versus the non-drinks. So it's all in the same boat.
Okay. Councilwoman Wilholler, and then I'll go Councilman Field. Okay. Councilman Field.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sanderlin, for coming tonight. So my name is Nathan Field, and I am the representative for the 8th District, which is one of the main areas is the Trolley Square neighborhood. And so we've had, I would say, a negative experience dealing with your office, not necessarily while you've been the commissioner, but before. We have a lingering issue. On June 27th, I issued a formal protest to your office. State Representative Namdi Chukwocha did, as did Krista Griffith, State Representative, and we never got a response. But since I have you here, I would like to ask you kind of point blank about the property 1404 North DuPont Street. So the mayor of Wilmington has made clear that retail marijuana is not allowed there. So will your office ultimately be respecting the zoning authority of the city of Wilmington if there is any future attempt to install retail marijuana there?
First, we do respect the zoning requirements of all of our cities. Second, unfortunately, it's beyond our hands at this moment, which is why I believe it's with the city and wrapped up in litigation. Until such time that the legislature either changes my authority or, rescinds basically addresses this specific situation, there's not really a lot we can do. Any protest at this point is beyond that. That's probably why you didn't get a response, is it's beyond the protest period because of the way the conversion licenses were done. Again, it all predated me, so I apologize. I'm happy to have any conversations you would like to continue to have, serve as a source for you. Right now, it's premature to really say what we can and can't do until I think the courts weigh in, because I know it's a matter of, or at least my basic understanding of the situation is, it's a matter of timing between when the ordinance was passed and when approval was given based upon the legislation. So I know that's probably not the exact answer you were looking for, but I do want to work with you, Councilman Fields, and try to see if how we can be helpful, and at least, if nothing else, informative about what we can and can't do.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chair Owens. I just want to say that, Delaware is lucky. We're all lucky to have such a knowledgeable person, Commissioner Sanderin, in that position. And I want to thank you for coming here tonight and talking to us. I had a couple questions. One, those as a mom, I see those nerds, and it's really concerning. Are those products that are available here in Wilmington stores?
Yes, ma'am. Those and many, many others. If you go through the regulations for the OMC and you look at the things our stores are allowed to do, for instance, I live in Wilmington, so this was easy for me. I live right outside of the city, but I live up here. And if you drive up Marsh, and right at the corner of Marsh and Silverside, well, first of all, there's two on Marsh that just opened before you even hit Silverside. And then when you get to Marsh and Silverside, there's a store. You can see straight into that store. You will never drive by a dispensary you can see into, right? The only thing you'll know is that it says dispensary on the outside. You don't see inside. You walk in the front door and you still don't even see inside because you're in a vestibule that's stopped by security. So I think, beyond just these products that are attractive, the buildings themselves, they have artwork on them that can be attractive to kids. Like when you look at our regs, it is very clear that we make a conscious effort not to have it be attractive to children. For this, if nothing else, just because if it's sitting around your house and the kid sees it and they're like, oh, look at that, it's nerds. I know the word for nerds, and they go and eat them. That's a problem. So we can't do that in our industry. And you're seeing, again, that's just one of many, many products that they sell like that. And that's, when Date comes around and does these talks, they actually have a a poster board that has all the wrappers that they've confiscated. And it just blows your mind at the different ones that look just like normal everyday products.
Thank you very much. And so it seems like there's need for additional kind of policy and legislation around the regulation of the smoke shops. And I know also, there's a lot of people that are interested in purchasing marijuana legally. And so I guess my last question to you, is there a location in Wilmington for, all our listeners out there who are interested in purchasing a product that's tested, that's safe, and is there a location in Wilmington or near Wilmington that we can let our listeners know?
Absolutely. There's two in Wilmington and one on 202 up here, which is just outside of Wilmington, but still, close enough. So Columbia Care is up by Naaman's, where the Trader Joe's is up on 202. So it's right across in the plaza there. Columbia Care, it's a multi-state operator. They operate in many states. Then there is First State Compassion, which is now called Thrive. It rebranded this Thrive, which is in like Ellesmere, basically. I don't know if it's quite Ellesmere. I'm still kind of new to the area, so I'm kind of mapping it out. And then there's Field Supply over on Kirkwood. And if you go to our website, the OMC's website, you can see a list of everything in all the stores. And every store also has an online portal, online website, where you can see the different products they offer. You have to do an age verification, but then and at this point we do adult use and we do medical in all of the stores. The only real difference is for medical, obviously there's a process for it, but it's tax-free. And I know Delaware loves our tax-free, so.
Well, thank you very much. I think we're looking forward to continuing to work on this.
Yes. Now, you did just bring up a subject that I think has been talked about not just here in Wilmington, but in some of the other municipalities as well, too. I'm not speaking for them. But that the tax side of it. From my understanding, you have experience from the business side of this as well, too, in other states or state. Have you seen local municipalities have the ability to levy a small tax on the sale of marijuana?
Yes. Traditionally, the model isn't so much they levy it; it's that you get a percentage, so you get a piece of the pie, and that's pretty standard. In states like Jersey, actually, they allow local governments to add up to 2%, and they actually have a whole program. I was speaking with the gentleman who runs that program, and it's called "What Can 2 Do for You?" They go around local governments, and whereas I'm going around being like, please, let's have reasonable zoning laws. He can go around and say, this is what you get for the zoning laws. So no, that's a very common, unfortunately, it's a legislative issue. And, I know that my boss, the governor, is all for that and actually vetoed legislation last year because it didn't include that, but would have required local governments to conform to certain counties to conform their zoning a bit more. But he vetoed it because it didn't have a local share. So that is something very common. And if you don't mind, you touched on something briefly when we were talking about the smoke shops. I would be remiss if I didn't say the Congressional Black Caucus here is actually taking this issue on. Representative Chicocha especially sees this as an issue and is, spearheading efforts to try to find solutions that protect our children and also our communities.
Following up on the taxes, I do know a portion of it is going to the CJC for funding back into the community, especially areas that have been disproportionately impacted by previous marijuana laws. One of those areas, well, actually, a lot of those areas are in my district as well, too, in the 19802 zip code. Is there any guarantees with the CJC, with their decision making, that it's going to be truly directed into the community nonprofits that are making the difference? And is there any ability for municipalities to be able to apply for some additional funding from them?
So that funding is outside of my sphere of influence, period. I don't know that I have not seen what their plan is for the funds yet. I know that, they're very excited about the ability to have these funds to do sort projects with. And I would say, reaching out to them and telling them, hey, this would be a good project, I think would be a great idea. But also to that end, don't look past OMC for some of these projects. We do have some funding, not a ton, but some of our social equity programs, we help sponsor expungement events, things like that, to make sure, because it's a shame that for so many years, folks that were locked up for cannabis are now locked out of the industry. We see that all the time, which is why the social equity program here is important, providing funding to people who have licenses, but more importantly, to community, showing, hey, we're here to be partners and try to overcome all this, horrible stuff that's been going on for the last 60 years.
Thank you for that. If I don't know if you have the numbers just yet, or maybe this is a defect question for revenue based off those taxes. So currently we have a 15% sales tax.
Correct.
On the sale of marijuana. I know I saw an article back in like August that the first weekend the state brought in almost $94,000 from sales alone, of about $500,000, and that's just from one weekend. Do we have a rough estimate about how much money has been brought in so far?
Yeah, I can give you better than a rough estimate, I can tell you.
Perfect.
So now the 15% is only applied to adult use.
Correct.
Medical is still tax-free. All right, so last year we did about $58 million in total cannabis sales for 2025. Total cannabis sales. Mind you, we didn't open adult use until August 1st. And from August 1st to December 31st, adult use was $20,750,000 in sales, which equates to roughly a little over $3 million in tax revenue in that period, of which about $220,000 went to the CJC. That number is going to continue to go up,
Right.
but it's only going to go up if I can open, or if dispensaries can get open. Right now, I've got everybody's ready for me to open manufacturing and cultivation, but it's very difficult to find places for stores to open up. So what we have is a glut of product that's sitting there, but not a lot of avenues out. And that right now, that's our biggest hindrance. I think we're seeing, having conversations like this is what's going to, I think, break that log jam a bit. But those are the numbers thus far. We've also, our CFA grants launched, so our social equity financial assistant grants. So if you're a licensee and you got your conditional license and your social equity, and we have, depending on the license type, you can apply for the grant, and it's tranched out into 4 tranches based on your progress, right? So as soon as you get your conditional license, you can apply. You get tranche 1. You get your site control. You can get tranche 2. But at that point, for some of the licenses, for the capital intensive ones, you can actually ask for the rest of your money in bulk. You just got to show us where it's going. As somebody who was in the industry, I understand how much it costs to set up a manufacturing facility, or Lord help you, cultivation, which are just expensive as all get out. So today, we've only had 4 applicants of 17 apply, and they've all been granted money and started getting their money already. And then we send out probably every other week, if not once a month for sure, saying, hey, social equity applicants, licensees, your money's here, your money's here. I think folks are still just trying to get their feet under them. Setting up a business is very difficult, and I tell people that all the time. Setting up a cannabis business is extremely difficult because there's so much, we're one of the most regulated industries in the country. You're talking federal state conflict, so you're talking banking issues, taxing issues. You can't get small business loans, which is why the CFA grants are very important. So I think a lot of people are just trying to get their feet under them still. So that's where we stand with that part of things as well.
Thank you for that. And the 4 out of 17, those are the 17 have been granted licenses already under the social equity, but only 4 of them have applied for this grant.
So 17 have been granted conditional license. So we had 47 people apply for social equity, or not for apply, excuse me. We had 47 licenses to give out for social equity, ran the lottery, identified them, ran the paperwork, and then a tranche of them were denied. It's subject to litigation right now, so I can't really get into it too much. But we're going to rerun those numbers. We're going to rerun that pot again and run those licenses again if the denials are upheld. But 17 made it right through, and of that 17, 4 applied and got their money, or got parts of their money already.
Okay. I'll do another round for council members. Does any of my fellow council colleagues have any questions? If not, we can move to public comment, just to respect everyone's time. Is there anyone here to give public comment in person? Seeing none. Is there anyone online to give public comment? Seeing none. All right, I will take it back to council members then. Before we wrap up, thank you so much for being here and answering our questions. I definitely look forward to staying in contact with you and talking to you as we go through this process of understanding what's going on here in our city, especially with the illicit market of smoke shops throughout the city of Wilmington as well too. And it's something that, this committee definitely wants to keep an eye on. And thank you for the work that you're doing on the state side. I will always put a plug in if there's any opportunity for local share. I'm pretty sure Wilmington will not say no to the extra money. But then also making sure that if these funds are coming in, that they are truly getting to the people who are on the ground doing the work in the communities that have been impacted the most, and offering opportunity. There's a ton of nonprofits out there that do good work, but cannot afford a grant writer, cannot afford someone who's skilled in telling their story, but they're doing the work. So I would also encourage y'all to work with that community as well too, and create an opportunity for them to learn how to write the grants, and be able to really serve the community that's been impacted the most by this. Because for far too long, Wilmington has been negatively impacted by some of our laws. So again, thank you so much for your work, and I look forward to keeping in touch. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.